And the first verse. Despite all the signs, Israel ignores God. Every time I gave Israel a fresh start, wiped the slate clean, and got them going again, Ephraim soon filled the slate with new sins. Treachery of Samaria, written out in bold print, two-faced and double-tongued. They steal you blind, pick you clean. It never crosses their mind that I keep account of their every crime. Their mud spattered head to toe with the residue of sin. I see who they are and what they've done. They entertain the king with their evil circus, delight the princes with their acrobatic lies. They're a bunch of overheated adulterers, like an oven that holds its heat. From the kneading of the dough to the rising of the bread. On the royal holiday, the princes get drunk on wine in the frenzy of the mocking mob. They're like wood stoves, red hot with lust. Through the night, their passion is banked. In the morning, it blazes up, flames hungrily licking. Murderous and volcanic, they incinerate their rulers. Their kings fall one by one, and no one pays any attention to me. Ephraim mingles with the pagans, dissipating himself. Ephraim is half baked, stranger sucking dry, but he doesn't even notice. His hair has turned gray. He doesn't notice. Bloated by arrogance, big as a house. Israel's a public disgrace. Israel's lumbers along, oblivious to God. Oh, that's not funny. Despite all the signs, ignoring God. Ephraim is a bird-brained, mindless, clueless, first chirping after Egypt and fluttering after Assyria. Woo! I'll throw my net over them. I'll clip their wings. I'll teach them to mind me. Doom! They run from home. Now they're really in trouble. They've defied me. And I'm supposed to help them while they feed on a line of lies. Instead of crying out to me in heartfelt prayer, they whoop it up in bed with their whores, gas themselves bloody in their sex and religion orgies, but turn their backs on me. I'm the one who gave them good minds and healthy bodies. How am I repaid? With evil scheming. They turn, but not to me. Turn here, then there, like a weather vane. The rulers will be cut down, murdered, just like deserts for their mocking blasphemies. And the final sentence, ridicule in the court of world opinion. Hosea chapter 8, altars for sinning. Blow the trumpet, sound the alarm. Vultures are circling over God's people who have broken my covenant and defied my revelation. Predictably, Israel cries out, my God, we know you, but they don't act like it. Israel will have nothing to do with what's good, and now the enemy is after them. They crown kings, but without asking me. They set up princes, but don't let me in on it. Instead, they make idols using silver and gold, idols that will be their ruin. Throw that good, throw that gold calf god on the trash heap, Samaria. I'm seething with anger against that rubbish. How long before they shape up? And they're Israelites. The sculptor made that thing. It's not God. That Samaritan calf will be broken to bits. Look at them planting wind seeds. They'll harvest tornadoes. Wheat with no head. Produce produces no flour, and even if it did, strangers would gulp it down. Israel is swallowed up and spit out among the pagans. They're a piece of junk. They trotted off to Assyria. Why even wild donkeys stick to their own kind. The donkey Ephraim goes out and pays to get lovers. Now, because of their whoring life among the pagans, I'm going to gather them together and confront them. They're going to reap the consequences soon, feel like what it's like to be oppressed by the big king. Ephraim has built a lot of altars and then uses them for sinning. Can you believe that? Altars for sinning. I write up my revelation for them in detail, and they pretend they can't read it. They offer sacrifices to me, then they feast on the meat. God is not pleased. I'm fed up. I'll keep remembering their guilt. I'll punish their sins and send them back to Egypt. Israel has forgotten his maker and gotten busy making palaces. Judah has gone in for a lot of fortress cities. I'm sending fire on their cities to burn down their fortifications. Hosea chapter 9, starve for God. Don't waste your life in wild orgies, Israel. Don't party with your life with the heathen. You walk away from your God at the drop of a hat, and like a whore, sell yourself promiscuously at every section religion party on the street. All that party food won't fill you up. You'll end up hungrier than ever. At this rate, you'll not last long in God's land. Some of you are going to end up bankrupt in Egypt. Some of you will be disillusioned in Assyria as refugees in Egypt and Assyria. You won't have much chance to worship God. Sentenced to rations of bread and water, and your soul's polluted by the spirit dirty air. You'll be starved for God, exiled from God's own country. Will you be homesick for the holy days? Will you miss festival worship of God? Be warned, when you escape from the frying pan of disaster, you'll fall into the fire of Egypt. Egypt will give you a fine funeral. What use will all your God-inspired silver be then, as you eke out a living in the field of weeds? Time's up. Doom's at your doorstep. It's payday. Did Israel bluster? The prophet is crazy. The man of the spirit is nuts. Think again, because of your great guilt. You're in big trouble. The prophet is looking out for Ephraim, working under God's orders, but everyone is trying to trip him up. He's hated right in God's house of all places. The people are going from bad to worse, rivaling the ancient and unspeakable crime at Gibeah. God's keeping track of their guilt. He'll make them pay for their sins. They took to sin like a pig to filth. Long ago, when I came upon Israel, it was like finding grapes out in the desert. When I found your ancestors, it was like finding a fig tree bearing fruit for the first time. When they arrived at Bel Peor, that pagan shrine, they took to sin like a pig to filth, wallowing in the mud with their newfound friends. Ephraim is fickle and scattered like a flock of blackbirds. Their beauty dissipated in confusion and clamor, frenetic and noisy, frigid and barren, and nothing to show for it, neither conception nor childbirth. Even if they did give birth, I declare them unfit parents and take away their children. Yes, indeed, a black day for them when I turn my back and walk off. I see Ephraim letting his children run wild. He might just as well take them and kill them outright. Give it to them, God, but what? Give them a dried up womb and shriveled breasts. All their evil came out into the open at the pagan shrine at Gilgal. Oh, how I hated them there because of their evil practices. I'll kick them off my land. I'm wasting no more love on them. Their leaders are a bunch of rebellious adolescents. Ephraim is hit hard. Roots withered, no more fruit. Even if by some miracle they had children, their babies wouldn't live. I'd make sure of that. My God has washed his hands of them. They wouldn't listen. They're doomed to be wanderers, vagabonds among the godless nations.